Sticking to a learning routine. If you want to learn a language rapidly, you need a routine, a learning routine. Because we live in the age of information and thus distractions, it is incredibly easy to get lost on YouTube watching videos in your target language. By that I mean you want to learn, say, Spanish, and then you try to read and watch a lot of things in Spanish. You get exposed to so many different words and patterns, but it is not effective per se. Let me tell you why. Today, for almost any language, you can find thousands of books, audiobooks, teach-yourself guides, and softwares, websites, and of course, there is YouTube. You can find thousands of videos in Spanish with subtitles that you can use to learn Spanish from. But all of these materials bring a downside for your learning journey. Simply, you can't choose one. You go through all of them. You go from one video to another on YouTube. You try one audiobook today and jump to the other next week. And you get lost around all of these because in order to learn a language you need repetition, continuous exposure to the exact same material for a period of time depending on the size of the material. Well, first of all, to stick to a routine, you need to have a routine. Experiment. I highly recommend the method I explained in the last chapter. Most of the hyperpolyglots apply similar versions of it as if they once gathered together and picked the best method. I mean, there are varieties to it, but at its core it is more or less the same. So I urge you to experiment with that method and customize it to your learning style and lifestyle, and make a routine out of it. Spend 1 hour with it in total, but do it every day, and stick to 1 or 2 materials until you get enough out of them. Whatever you do, have a daily learning routine. This is important. Okay, so now I have a routine, but it is still hard to stick to it. I get bored, I lose my motivation. Now what? I personally have always struggled with following routines because I get bored easily. Plus, doing the same things repeatedly is boring. On top of that, my boredom threshold is quite low, so I was interested in this issue. I spent a lot of time researching how people get past boredom and stick to the same routine. And I got some answers from polyglots, which I applied on myself and observed the results. I can say that some of the strategies truly work for an easily bored person like me. They keep you going. Now I'm going to tell you how to do it. Goals. In order to learn a language, your motivation should be both short-term and long-term. You need motivation that doesn't fade when you come against difficulties or some other things to do. Since it is a complex process, language learning should be one of your priorities. So you need to have both long-term and short-term goals. Remember, when you get through the initial frustrating stage and are more comfortable to communicate with people, it's going to be more fun. Your long-term goal could be speaking to natives fluently, or conducting a business in the language, or watching a movie without subtitles, or reading a nonfiction book. Now take out a paper and write your long-term goal. And remember to look at it once in a while. Maybe more important than your long-term goal are your short-term goals, because they need to be achievable in a shorter amount of time and they tend to be more specific. So if your long-term goal is to be able to watch TV without subtitles, your short-term goal might be to watch short videos in the language or watch TV with subtitles. Other examples of short-term goals are meeting people, telling your story and understanding them simply, learning how to ask for directions and understanding them. Say I'm interested in football. Read articles about football. Listening to interviews with football players. Watching a movie with subtitles in that language in a month. Being able to read kid stories in the next 2 weeks. Buying a SIM card from the store. Making your grocery list in your target language. Buying groceries in a local market. Write your short-term goals down and look at them when you don't feel like studying. Dream about all the amazing things you plan to do and the possibilities that speaking a new language will give you. Rewarding yourself. Another trick is rewarding yourself. You should reward your routines at regular intervals. For example, say you learned how to introduce yourself and how to ask someone's occupation in the first week. You deserve a reward in the real world. If you use your language as early as possible, this will be easier. If you can find natives in your city, go meet them. Just apply what you learned and be proud of your speaking, Whether it is a little or a lot, natives typically don't mind if you go in and out of your target language and English. Just introduce yourself, and if you are stuck and can't speak more, switch back to English and say that you just started learning. If they can't speak your language, then after introducing yourself, say that you don't speak a lot and just listen to them. Consider this as both a listening exercise and a motivator for you. The joy of speaking a new language will give you the momentum to follow through. After some time, you are just going to crave the joy of the reward, and you are going to be eager to put yourself out there for more. Relevance. Once you've learned the essentials, the core of the language from 1 or 2 audiobooks, your learning material should be highly relevant to you. You shouldn't study anything that won't have an immediate or foreseeable outcome for you. So list your interests and align your material with them. Do you like psychology? Go read about it in the language. Do you like football? Watch interviews with your favorite football players who speak your target language. You can find YouTube videos on your interests by just searching for the keywords. Have a community of learners. If you have a group of friends who are learning the same language that you're learning, meet with them regularly to boost your motivation. You can even organize events and build a community of learners. Sharing your frustrations and thoughts with other learners will help you big time. This is what polyglots do. They have friends like them who love languages and gather together to talk about it since it is their passion. They organize polyglot conferences around Europe, and I believe this helps them stay motivated. Having a network of people interested in your interests will surely help. So these are the strategies polyglots use to stick to their routines. You should apply them in your learning journey. Revisit this video when you are having a hard time with your routine.